Hello, I want to welcome you to The Power of Our Story. On Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. PST, we will have a weekly storytelling evening where each one of our 29 authors of our book, Wounds to Wisdom, Healing Through Veteran First Responder Narratives, will read their story from the book. Our collaborative effort is a labor of love from all of us to those protectors who may be suffering in silence. All are welcome. So tonight, I want to welcome Barry Zworestine. His tagline is, "No veteran should ever have to come home to die." And here is a little bit about Barry. Barry Zworestine, he is the author of Which Way is Your Warrior Facing? An operational manual for current serving and veterans transitioning into civilian life, fought as a combat medic in a four-man stick in the Rhodesian Bush War from 1976 to 1977. Since 2002, he has worked as a psychologist with veterans and those currently serving in Australia. Barry was a marathon and ultramarathon runner who is passionate about music. He plays the African drum, American Indian flute, and the Australian didgeridoo. He is married to an extraordinary woman. Barry, I want to welcome you. Thanks for reading your story tonight to us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Sarah. Thanks for being Zed. I'm now starting off first. But yeah, thank you. And it's great to see everybody here tonight. I thought before I started the story, I'd just create a bit of context because, our war, the Rhodesian Bush War, was in the mid-70s. So it was in the 60s. And so it was a long time ago. And I thought I'd put up that photograph, which took place, I think it may have been a week or two before or after the story I'm going to read today. And I think on that one, the four of us were heading off for, I think it was a 10-day patrol on the Mozambique border. And the reason I put it up is no one really ever believes that anybody could fight a war in very short shorts and very little else. So it's just evidence, but also just to create the scenario for where this incident took place. Okay, so the story is called The Last Breath, and it begins as follows. He lay still on the table. I could barely hear his breath. It was 2 a.m. in 1976, while on high-density force operations in a four-man stick in the Rhodesian Bush War. After I had put out the flames, his body was blackened and burnt following the ambush that we removed him from. I was unable to get a tube down his throat. I stood there helpless in the stillness of the night in our bush camp. There was nothing I could do to save him. He suddenly took one long, deep breath in, filling his lungs. Then slowly the breath, his last raspy breath, released itself from his body. It seemed to go on forever as it slowly drifted away over the tops of the trees, leaving his body blackened, rigid, and still on the table. 47 years later, I still hear that last breath. It has never left me. It has lived within me like a memory of a distant time in a war that claimed so many lives. It speaks to me of that place between life and death. My war did not end as I struggled through 5 immigrations and losses that impacted me deeply, affecting my family, my relationships, and others who died under my hands as I tried to save them. It took a large portion of my life to realize that underlying all my journeys and challenges was a deep pool of unresolved grief, a numbing sadness that felt like a thick skin growing around my heart, damping down my capacity to feel joy. Although I functioned well as a teacher and later as a psychologist, I felt that I had lost pieces of myself bit by bit over the years. Each unresolved loss and memory seemed to take more from me. Grief was, and still is, not something I easily embrace. it can feel too overwhelming. So I began to run. First short runs, then half marathons, then marathons and ultramarathons. I would run on the trails where I found peace in my body as it moved in nature, the ground beneath my feet surrounded by trees, and the stillness of my breath. I found my peace running in extreme heat, pushing hard to my extremes to the place where life could meet death. It never stopped. To stop would be to feel. So at 67, I was pushing my heart to 200 beats a minute, tasting the edge of heat stroke. I have over time understood the potentially deadly seduction of chasing the edge. I realized I could never outrun my loss, my grief. Those feelings lay quiet, unchanged and dormant, deep within myself, patiently waiting for life and circumstances to call me back to my heart. Something had to change for me to really heal. That something took two forms. The first was bursting a disc 2 years after my ultramarathon, which severed my ability to chase the miles. The second was in 2020, when I blew my meniscus and could no longer run. In my life journey, chasing my last breath, I have always been disciplined, maintaining excellent nutrition and 47 years of meditation. Over the past few years, I have understood the importance of maintaining a certain level of comfort within the discomfort. It helps keep my edge sharp, and it reminds me that I have not yet lost my fire and passion for living with meaning and purpose. I have maintained 3 years of cold water showers and a daily discipline of exercise. But I have also become more willing to feel the edges of my grief. At 70, I'm still a work in progress. There have been many numerous moments over the years that have opened the doors to my grief and loss. At times, this has interwoven with pain and anger. I am aware of a constant level of vigilance and watchfulness. It's like an internal app quietly burning away inside me and absorbing energy and vitality. It comes and goes depending on what is happening in my life. But I no longer see this as a destructive force. What I have discovered as I navigate through my loss and grief is that there is a gift within this place. I began to hold its presence in my life. My grief and memories of loss and death have awakened in me a mission for service and a compassion and gratitude for what I have in my life. My journey into service began in 2002 when I started sitting with veterans and those currently serving. I have seen the immense healing power of service and, where present, faith. Now, I am better at making choices that do not place me at risk and that allow me to grow and heal. I will always be grateful to the last breath of those I have been privileged to sit with. These breaths whispered to me and guide me forward with gratitude, an open heart, and love for the veterans who are my brothers. As much as I have impacted their lives, they have transformed mine. I'm a better man, person, husband, and friend as a result of the extraordinary individuals who traveled and battled through their wars. My challenges still remain, but they are fertile, not barren. I no longer run away from my heart, but choose to run into it. At 70, I am increasingly aware of my relationship with time. I am grateful for more of the precious moments in my life. I feel the changes in my body and experience limitation, but I'm also learning to see the time I have left as an opportunity to leave gifts behind once I too have breathed my last breath. The clock is ticking, but each second offers powerful moments, invitations, and opportunities to find gratitude and love and heal pain and grief and grasp the courage will, and determination to do what needs to be done rather than shrink away from and still my heart. Change, transformation, and healing have not come easily for me, but I have been willing to hunt for it, fight for, and sweat for it. I have learned to listen to the whispers of that which lies in the shadows of my heart, and that will often touch me in the early hours of the morning. I know now that this cannot be forgotten, silenced, or locked away. At times, I am aware that my journey can be painful and that I need to draw on my courage, faith, and commitment. I know that it is better to feel than to numb out or push down. I am aware that I can no longer run from change. I am more willing to creak, groan, and stretch into the process. I see how letting go of my well-being is also letting go of life. I see the need to greet the moments in my life, take each breath as a gift that deserves gratitude and an investment of time and presence. And being married to an extraordinary woman for the past 10 years, I have experienced life not just as a battleground of extreme adventure, change, and challenge, but as a gentle process of love and feeling safe in the presence of another and allowing my heart to soften and open. I sense that this will continue to be a journey of healing until I breathe my last breath. To pull this all together, I'd like to share what I have learned. Point one, as much as I have made others my mission, it is as important to make myself my own personal mission. Two, as much as I would never leave someone behind, I have learned the importance of not leaving myself behind. Three, I will maintain a daily discipline of care, no matter how small, whether it be making my bed, eating well, or taking a cold shower. Four, becoming comfortable with discomfort has allowed me to face what I often chose to ignore or run away from. Building on these moments has taught me confidence, trust in myself, and resilience. 5, I draw on the comfort of my tribe and reach out when I am struggling. 6, at times when my life may feel overwhelming, I can always sit, take a breath, then get up, dust off, and keep moving forward, one small step at a time. 7, I am worth the effort to recover the positive qualities of who I was and who I am still. 8, I know that my grief will not kill me, and that in my grief lies my healing. 9, it is never too late to change, nor am I too old to give up on life. And lastly, every breath is an opportunity for service and compassion to self and others. Thanks.
Barry, thank you so much for sharing your story with us tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for the opportunity.